Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special conversation. I'm really excited to get into this content today, and I feel like it's going to be probably one of the more vulnerable shares. You're going to hear a lot about the behind the scenes of McEwen Media. I feel like in the last couple of years, I've launched a bunch of different things. So if you've been in this space for a while and you're like, wait a second, what is this thing you're now launching? You're going to hear more about the behind the scenes stuff and choices of like what I've added to programs and how I now serve people and how I deliver on the promise of I get you on TV and how that can mean so much more than just getting booked on television. My guest today is a graduate of the program, and honestly, we have been talking about working together for the last 2 years. So there's just some really interesting parallels between what was getting in her way of saying yes to working with me and also the changes that I was making in order to create a container that was right for her and what she was dealing with. So if you've been thinking about working with me for a while and you're feeling some resistance, you're going to hear about how that's perfectly normal and natural and how to work through that resistance. If you are not thinking about working with me and you're feeling resistance in general, you're still going to learn from that. And if you're also launching something new and you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if this is the right thing, you're going to learn more about that process and how launching it anyways and learning along the way is going to get you towards your aligned offer. So whatever it is that you're looking for in this conversation, you're going to find it. So it's about time to introduce my guest today. Natalie Haynes is a psychotherapist and creator of the Comfortable Race Conversation process. She guides people through feelings of identity, difference, and belonging. So please welcome Natalie.
Hi, how are you, Tom?
I'm so good. I'm so good.
Good. So excited for this conversation.
Oh my God, me too. So let's actually start at the end. So you finished the group media training program. And in part of the pitch process, what has the experience been like? Like, what kind of media have you lined up and are you lining up for yourself?
Well, since our time together, right at the end, what was lined up was an interview on CHCH Morning Live, which was amazing and a very surreal experience. What I also experienced was on Wednesday night, I had an interview with on the Night Shift Live, so News Talk 1010, and had an interview on there, which was amazing, and a pre-interview with CBC.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
And what I love so much about this is like I've been pitching people into the media space around this time of year. And like, even for myself, I'm like, there's no room at the inn, like places are booked up. So the fact that, we pitched kind of late in the game and you still got results, to me, that's incredible. And it just speaks to the power of your topic and how it's so needed. And I feel like I've been trying to tell you this for 2 years. So we actually first met and talked about getting you on television like 2 years ago. So let's hop in the time machine then. Take everyone back. You and I were at a retreat in Mexico, and you're like,
I think it was the last night.
It was the last night. Yes.
It was.
And there was some alcohol involved. So take me back to what was going through your mind, in your brain, having this conversation of like, I kind of want to get on TV. What do you think I can? Like, I'll tell you how was happening on my end, and you tell me what's happening on your end.
Okay. So I remember eyeing you throughout the retreat, and that last night, and we happened to be sitting beside each other, and I wanted to know, is what I'm sharing, is what I'm talking about, would that be something that would be warranted, or would it be media? What's the word I'm looking for? Would it have legs?
Yeah. Yes.
Like what, and I thought, because I thought, when I explain what I do and how I approach this topic, it has a very different impact than just reading, some information about my course.
Yeah.
And so having the courage to say, "Ooh, should I ask her, what she thinks?" And you were like, "Yeah." And don't even know if I still believed you in that moment.
So let's give everyone some context then. Like tell people then what is your subject matter? Like what do you talk about when you're on media?
Okay. So I have created a program called the Comfortable Race Conversation Process. My background is I am a registered psychotherapist, but I also worked in the work world for just over 10 years. And what I saw was a missing element in the current conversation about DEIB. And what was missing was this human element of this is an uncomfortable conversation that, our ability to lean in and have conversations about difference it's really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw was that by not knowing how to lean in and be with those uncomfortable conversations and know what they're even about, we anticipate that the conversation is going to go sideways, or imagine it will be like something that we've seen, in the media, or we also anticipate those uncomfortable feelings we may have and we just avoid.
Yeah.
And so because we do that, we don't have the conversation at all. And how are we ever going to be able to create connection?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So as a psychotherapist, I wanted to bring in that psychoeducation into the conversation and have people take an internal look at how they approach this conversation about race or any other aspect of difference.
Yeah. And I feel like any of my journalist friends who are watching this, they're listening to you talk about your work and they're like, oh yeah, of course this needs to be of course we need this content. So that was my kind of like, no duh, of course, your content, who you are, and even like your motivation for why you want to share this. I'm like, of course I can put you on television. And I think I was just like that obvious, like, yeah, let's start working tomorrow. When do you want to get started right away? To put things to even further context, at that point in time with McEwen Media, I didn't have a group program. So I was working with people directly. So if you were working with me at that time, we were putting you on TV right away, whether you were ready or not. we were getting going. So the first couple of clients that I worked with, they had prior TV experience, right? Many of them had been on for many, many years. So the phrase I use now is that those clients were fully cooked. Their story was done. Their content was done. There was no question of, is this, does this have legs? Does this have a place on TV? They're like, yeah, it does. Tara, help me, I gotta stay on TV. After the first 3 clients who had that energy, then I started getting people approaching me similar to you, where it's like, is there a space for me? And I feel like, and you tell me if this is how you experienced it, with that uncertainty of just like, do you think I have something here for me to go right to the end and say, yeah, let's get started right away. Like I already have pitches. Let's get this going. I can give you tomorrow. What did that feel like for you?
I think at first I was like, really? But what was interesting, and I really felt this in the program, was that I doubted myself and how I could articulate what I was working on, and so there was a part of me that knew, yes, that this could be. And then there was another part of me that was not as sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was over time that as I continued to work through this, and I'd touch in with you at different times. Do you remember touching? Hi. You're like, yeah, Natalie.
And there were a couple of things, because I think too, I really want to explore this kind of this split feeling of, yes, it does have a place on this very, very public stage, and it can serve a wonderful purpose for a lot of people. But I think, because I've struggled with this too, this idea is very dear to me, and I'm worried about what happens when it hits the public stage, because once it gets out there, I can no longer protect it. And I think that's not that, like we think of, imposter syndrome and all this stuff. But I'm like, but there is something about just like, no, this is my calling. Like this message has come from on high, and I'm a little nervous about who I take it to. And so it's not so much about the reflection of me, but it's just like I'm a little worried about what happens to this content when it hits that larger stage. So let's So now I have a better understanding of why so many people, when I was like, yeah, let's get you on TV, they're like, hang on, back up a second. I was
Yeah.
just thinking you thought I had what it took. Because I think what I've now, so when I started offering coaching programs, that was when I realized, oh no, there is this space that I need to create for people to then get comfortable with the idea. We know what the end goal is in mind, but there is actually some work beyond pitching to get people comfortable with the idea and bringing it to a larger stage. So some of the places, so
Oh,
let's
yeah.
go through, because I think the first time we connected creatively after that conversation in Mexico was when you were working on the videos for your course.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think we were at a one-day conference or something like that.
Yeah.
And I had talked to you about, well, how could I put, like, how would you package this story? How could I communicate this? And you said, very clearly that I have this big program that I'm trying to communicate and want people to learn from and create this safe space. But because it feels like such a deep topic, maybe they need a little something that they can start with. And you said, you know what, get back to me when you're done. And I remember then I touched back in with you because I was in the middle of creating those. There's been a bunch of times in creating those videos, and it was this exact thing that you were just saying. I was trying to create a very succinct message around one of the videos, and I remember you'd said to me, listen, you're going to put it out there, and the people that want to hear it, they will hear it. And the people that don't want to hear your message, they will just, pass on by.
Yeah.
And so speak to the people that you want.
Yeah.
And I remember it was very clear, and all of a sudden it was like, and I was able to finish those last videos, and the course is up and running. And then I said, okay, Tara, I'm done.
Now what?
Yeah.
Because I think too, that's what I've appreciated as well. Even with my own feeling comfortable with taking up more space and being more visible, it is baby steps. It is about understanding. It's almost like, those little you're testing the water. So I'm going to release a little bit of it and see how it goes. And then, it is learning to just release the expectation of who is watching, how it's going to come back to you. I even did this actually with my own marketing. Like a year ago, I was like, I can't think anymore about lead magnets and email funnels and how do I direct this attention towards business. I just have a lot to say about commanding an audience, being creative, holding the idea, capturing it and sharing it with other people. I just want to share that. So that's where these live stream conversations have come. And this is now like the basis of my social media strategy. And I'm like, it's so much easier for me to share content this way because similar to you, like I just release the expectation of what this does. I have no idea what the outcome of this conversation is going to be, but I know that the information that we're sharing already is valuable to people who are probably struggling with this exact same thing. So we met in Mexico. I'm like, yep, you can be a TV star, no problem. Ran away from me hiding. And then back a little while later working on your course. And then you joined a speaking program, Amplify Your Voice. So tell me about that experience.
So I wanted to, I joined this program, Amplify Your Voice, with the training program that we were with. And I wanted to really develop the skills in terms of being able to provide keynote speeches and how I show up on media and all that. And I won second place, which was fantastic. The gentleman who won first place won your program.
Yep.
That was the first place prize. Yep. And I was sitting in the front row while this was happening. And I remember saying, I want that program. I want to win that.
Stop.
No, yeah.
Okay.
And then I didn't win because I didn't win first place.
Yeah.
And then honestly, literally, I might have been a couple weeks later, I don't even know how long, he reached out to me and said, I don't have use for this. And he gifted it to me.
Yes.
And I went, what? I get to work with Tara McEwen. this is happening to me. It was, I thought, what's happening? It was just unbelievable. And it was like, just the ability to take the step, learn a bit more, take another step, and this vision that I had of working with you at some point automatically came to fruition. And it was just like that.
Yeah.
And which was, I don't know, it was amazing. Like, even as I say it now, I have like goosebumps.
Yeah, I think that is probably my favorite part about this story and this journey. So, because the same speaking program that you were in, I had done the previous cohort of that, and then I came in first place in my year.
Yes,
so I was invited back to co-MC, and I think I was brought in to hear the rehearsals so I could hear your speeches ahead of time and give feedback. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, every single individual in this program should work with me, because they all have I love people with positive messages that just everyone needs to hear, because when everyone hears this messaging, just the world gets better. To me, I feel like this is my act of service that I'm being called to do. Like, I worked in news for many, many years and felt like I don't want to use my skills to peddle human misery. Now I get to use my skills to amplify and empower voices and just spread positivity in this like infinite wave of beauty and magic. I'm getting very spiritual, but that's honestly what I feel about my work. So after the rehearsal, the Gabby Mamoni, who ran the program, texted the judges and the MCs and said, like, if anyone wants to donate prizes for the speakers, what would you offer? And I thought, I want to work with every single person in this program.
Wow.
And I just said, they can have admission. My program is 6 months long. They can have it. Here's what it is. So it was just, I didn't think of it ahead of time. It was just like one of those full body ideas. Like it came to me, like, just offer this, see what transpires. So I love that so much. So I think too, I want to share with you a little bit behind the scenes of when you were in that program, because it was a 6-month program. When I launched the coaching program, the initial coaching program, I think I called it the Media Mentor Program. And because really it was a reaction to, I had so many people who wanted to work with me. And I'm like, I don't have the capacity to work with every single person.
Yeah.
But we'll all just kind of like offer a group program and create a container where we're working on pitches. So much of it was still emphasizing on the pitch process. We would brainstorm ideas and write a pitch and send the idea out. But then about a year or so ago, I think because with my content, I just started sharing more about my journey, developing my own brand and stepping into my own spotlight. I actually had a lot more people who were like, I don't care about TV, but I want to show up more comfortably on social media. So that was where I was like, well, do I just kind of add this stuff? So when you joined, it was still kind of in this, I've got this container. It's very focused on the pitching stuff, but there are all these other things that are coming along. How do I reorganize this? And I think it was the summertime. I was like, I need a break. I just need to maybe put pause on this program and then just recenter this. I have a container, right? I have a space where I can work with a lot of people at once. Pitching is part of it. But so is just getting comfortable with the idea and taking it to a larger audience, which you practice that on social media.
Yeah.
And then there's also just understanding you connecting with an audience for your personal gain, which is how I think of marketing and personal branding. So I thought, well, how do I piece all of these things together? That's when I came up with like a 3-month program that I launched for the fall. And so that was kind of like your part 2, where I was like, this is like the 3-legged stool, the full extent of what I can offer. This is now what we can do.
It was, that was great, because what I found in all of it, but specifically in that when you had packaged it, there was a real, there was an emphasis on understanding how our own message, which was unique for each person that was in the program, how it related to how it could relate to our audience.
Yeah.
And taking the what may be happening socially or in the media or in the news and what the cycle is, and really, or the season, and applying what we are doing to and molding it and adapting it in different ways so that it could land,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The other piece that stuck, I was like, Natalie, is speak as a, like, be really simple with like your language. Like I could love to talk about what I do, but I could go really quickly, like really deep down. And so I loved how you supported us in simplifying our message.
Yeah.
And crafting what we were, again, what's our message? What's the purpose? Who's the listener?
Mm-hmm.
And, and what gets in the way of us being able to do that?
Yeah.
Right. Just really clarifying what our message is. And that has been so helpful.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen a huge change in the people who were in your cohort from compared to people who have been in previous programs. Just so you know, if you've worked with me in the past, you still got still got results. You still learned something. The only difference, and what I really want to emphasize is that when you start by strengthening your message and the confidence and just, I call it it's how you're carrying the message, and then figure out how to take it to the media, how to pitch it to television. That's the only change, is that I spend a lot more time strengthening how it feels to be the messenger of this message, because I think that's a huge part of this. So much of it was focused on crafting a pitch idea and sending it to media. Like that was the core of my understanding of the work that I did for the first 2 years. That's why, like, back in Mexico, I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I already had like 7 ideas, and who does it send it to? Say the word. Let's get started. I think having this extra piece of just really deepening my understanding of what you're coming to the table, like, I've got this idea. Help me hold it, help me carry it, and then help me carry it to places where it's going to be most effective. I think that's very different from, learning the editorial calendar and the news cycle. That's still part of it, but to me, that's kind of like the tail end of this growth journey. Yeah. And I think when we were talking about doing this conversation too, I'm like, I feel like, there was a sense of people felt like they needed to be ready to work with me. Like they needed to have the full confidence in their story before they work with me. Now I'm like, well, with this new approach and this new framework, you don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. I'll get you ready. By the end of the process, you will be ready. At this, you just have to be willing.
Oh yeah, that was a difference that I felt it was really unique, because even in practicing and role playing what it would be like because you do that, and it sounds scary. However, it's not even knowing how to do it perfectly. It's feeling the mistakes, or it's feeling the where course correction might be needed. And that was the part of like, oh, okay, exactly what am I trying to say, and how do I say it how do I stay present with that message and not get distracted by, oh, I could talk about this, I could talk about that, all of that. That practice of this, that experiential practice was really useful for me, and which is how I work. That's how I work in my own program.
Yeah.
It's very experiential, So, and with the support of the people in the group, it was, you could feel everybody cheering, each other on, right? It was great.
Yeah. And I think everyone in the group, they got what they needed. Similar to the people watching this conversation, you get what you need from the process. So
you do.
I love this so much, and I'm so happy. And thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I wanted to learn more about what it felt like for you, because I'm like, I always know my client journey, it's based on the individual. Some people sign up in the room. Some people take 2 years to decide. Whatever time you need is the time that it takes. So what is next for you? And you?
I'm one, to take you up on the offer that you offer to our group, to keep writing media pitches, and to create provide the support for us to continue to create messages to put out to the world. So that, for me, that is something that I want to stay, that is going to be a part of my process. And number two, this just happened. I just talked to somebody about a publisher, someone had reached out to me, and this individual put me into contact with a publisher. And so I just had a conversation about potentially writing a book, and they invest a lot in marketing and media, and being able to have this training in my back pocket to, support a new project idea or a new way to deliver my message, another medium. Your training is going to be so helpful, because just to be able to really hone down what am I exactly trying to say, and how do I hold that as I share what I'm trying to share.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even the difference, I'm comparing this to the conversation we had in Mexico, right? Where you're like, I don't know, is this a thing? And I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. And here's the framework, here's the path that we take it. Like, when do you want to do it? Now, 2 years later, you're talking with a publisher and they have the exact same thing. And you're like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll figure it out. Like, even just that difference.
Yeah.
How you're holding the story. So that's again another reason why I love this so much, is the time that you spend with me in the program. It is, it's 12 weeks. It's an intense program. It's a short, intense program, but the long tail benefit, it just goes as long as you want to keep saying yes to opportunities. So I remember me when you're famous. Like, I expect a mention in your book.
We'll already be in contact. However, you're not going anywhere.
I'm never far. Well, Natalie, I'm so thrilled that, again, the universe put us together, gave us the opportunity to work, and I believe in you and your message, and how it can help heal the world. It's definitely something that we all need to share. So when I share this after this live, add follow Natalie, find her program. I know I'm doing it in January. I'm signing up for it. And and then I'll share more information on Launch It Loud. If this is something that you're looking for to amplify your messaging in 2025, now you know what it's like. And what happens when you just say yes. So thank you so much, Natalie. All right.
Thank you. And do it, because it's great.
Oh,
it's such a wonderful development. Yeah, opportunity.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.